Nice to be with you all today. Really honored and privileged and looking forward to this event. Yeah, so I'll crack on. Yeah, so my name is David Napier. I'm the Global Product Manager and Subject Matter Expert for TUV in the area of health and safety. Just a very quick background about me. I've been in health and safety now for well over a decade for looking after various international and global European multi-channel companies. Very much experienced in the HSE management and also the training element of health and safety, the background in EBOSH and IOSH, and really something I would like to do in terms of safety is to make it more engaging and more interesting and put a positive spin on safety. So we got a lot of slides to get through in the next kind of 15 minutes. So apologize for all the slides, but I really want to take a nice holistic view of health and safety and the maritime industry and some stats, sorry, and some trends that are happening in health and safety. So with no further ado, I've touched upon with some of your speakers already, as everyone's fully aware, that obviously international shipping industry is 80–90% of the world's trade, and coming from raw material, finished products, unfinished products, pretty much transporting everything imaginable. 90,000 merchant ships trading globally, 30 million cruise ships, passengers to livestock, and a significant amount of seafarers as well, as you're fully aware. And some statistics around this is around European health and safety in maritime. Some statistics here, some interesting statistics. So in terms of casualties, nearly 3,000 casualties, ships lost 17. And 37 pollution incidents. These are statistics reported to the Maritime Safety Agency. And in terms of fatalities, nearly 50. Again, this is European, not global. Persons injured, 917, and 80 serious investigations launched in terms of major incidents and fatalities around the European seas. So a really, interesting slide here. So looking back to 2014 to 2019, we have a lot of significant accidents and casualties. But coming down from 2018 to 2019, we see a bit of a decline, which is really great, which is really positive. And the real kind of the driver for this is new technology being introduced, so people can report accidents in real time. So better health and safety software. And also regulatory demands, so better regulations in place. And also now we're starting to see international standards being introduced into the maritime and other industries as well, which are really helping report accidents in a better manner. So we start to see a decline here, and you start to see this as well through the serious marine casualty incidences and the incidences on ships, such as pollution and ships being lost and turned over and so forth. So there's a decline in this as well. So this is positive. And again, as you see, from domestic vessel ships right through to service ships, right through to cargo ships, cargoes being the highest in terms of incidences. And really nice snapshot view there. And the main driver of cargo, just because of the risks and because of the heavy machinery and equipment and so forth. A nice snapshot, a nice holistic view here of the statistics in terms of, again, the European Safety Agency have collected, and collision and contact being some of the highest. This is a really nice holistic view of some of the accidents reported to the Marine Safety Agency over the last few years, and some of the highest being slips, trips, and falls. This is something that is seen across really all industries as being one of the highest. And I guess the underlying reasons, the root causes for this is obviously slippery surfaces, oil being left on the floor. And I guess that's a nice opportunity to address these going forward, whether it's better PPE, better controls, better flooring. So some nice opportunities here to reduce the risk going forward. And again, this is a slide just demonstrating the losses of ships and the different kinds of ships. And again, actually fishing vessels being one of the highest. And then cargo ships and domestic and private and so forth. I think one of the important things I wanted to address is that through all of these incidences and accidents reported to the Maritime Safety Agency, the most important, or the highest, out of all the nearly 2,000 recommendations that were suggested by them, is that number one, human factors. So this is relating to education and skills. This is an underlying issue that needs to be addressed globally to ensure that they have the right training, the right engaging training, and also making sure it's accessible as well. And we'll talk about this in the trends in the training later on. And also the safe working practices, so ships procedures. So these are some of the kind of underlying root causes for the majority of these accidents and incidences. And a little bit about coping with health and safety during COVID is a little snapshot look at the hierarchy of control. So removing hazard, reducing hazard, preventing, and safe systems of work and PPE. So first of all, if you can't obviously eliminate the risk or try and remove the risk, this is the first stage, is, can work be done remotely? So can audits, surveys be done, inspections, training, risk assessments? This is actually something that I am looking at in TUV at the minute to see how we can offer remote inspections as well. So this will help reduce the risk of the amount of time being spent on board, and if it's unnecessarily needed to be done on board, then you can do this virtually as well. This will really help in terms of the management of health and safety. And then the next stage is reduce or substitute, which is called in some countries. So can number of persons attending on board be reduced? Can the work be undertaken remotely, as I said, such as witnessing drills, interviews, inspections, etc.? And is it necessary to attend on board in person, or can meetings be done remotely as well? Again, we're talking about remotely. And also, can information be provided for remote review to reduce shipboard attendance? I'm not going to go into all of the different stages of the hierarchy of control, but what I will suggest to everyone is that I will make this presentation available for everyone so they can download it. And also, I've got some really great advice here from the International Marine Organization, where they've produced some really great guidelines for health and safety, for how to do risk assessments remotely, and guidance around putting in new controls in place and how to write new policies for COVID. So I've got the link in here, guys, and I'll circulate this with the team in TUV, and then they can circulate this somehow, and it's got some really great guidance. So just a few more slides. So budgets rise, safety rules, and autonomy impacts a little. So this is a statement from the Marine Safety Agency, and talking about training now and training statistics. So 68% of maritime educational training institutes are now seeing a significant increase in terms of the training budget, and we see this now growing on year, which is great. So people are really starting to address these training issues in terms of safety. Seafarers spend more, so individual seafarers are spending more on their personal training expenditure, which is great as well, investing in that competence to get those skills, college experience and qualifications in place. And some of the three drivers for these changes are accidents, so to reduce the risk of these accidents going forward, new regulatory demands coming into place, new standards being driven, such as ISO 45001 and other from the Marine Safety Agency, and also just crew competency, so making sure we have the quality, competent skills in place to do their jobs. Autonomy is on the horizon, so changes for HSE coming into place in the next few years. So currently, right now, we're at 62% of no automation, and then a little bit on later on down the line, we're going to be looking at 20%. So what I mean by this is 20% interaction with humans being supervisory over autonomous driving, and then they say years obviously down the line, we're looking at 7% fully autonomous. So yeah, so obviously with that, it'll have some safety changes, new regulatory demands, new safety software, new safe working practices. So I guess the message is here is embrace change, because it's coming, and it's coming quickly, I think. In terms of training, and this is really specific on safety training, so not just training in general through the maritime industry, but we're seeing in terms of safety spend, 71% increase on e-learning, which is really great. And I'm all about engagement, so it's really nice to see that in terms of the training being offered to seafarers and people on board, they have this engaging health and safety training, and which they can retain safety knowledge sometimes better than what they would in a classroom. It's more accessible, reduce costs, and you can do this remotely as well, which is great. A 77% increase in virtual reality. So this is something that we see across all industries, but this specifically in the maritime industry. And also virtual learning. So when I say virtual learning, I mean obviously webinars. So there's an increase in spend here in terms of safety training in the maritime industry as well. Something that's really kind of key in my well, I have a passion for, but also I'm starting to see this now in maritime, which is great, is that for the likes of things like 45001, these international standards for health and safety, they're really picking up on wellness. So wellness, well-being, occupational health all kind of sit together. But there was a survey done with the Maritime Safety Agency where over 10,000 seafarers took part. And some of the highlights that they mentioned in terms of wellness were, number one was poor communication with their loved ones. So this is something that really needs to improve. For well-being and the psychological stress of being on board, being away for long periods of time, socializing and recreational activities on board. So ensuring that the right amenities, facilities are there, etc., for the seafarers. In addition to this, it was actually men were most satisfied and emotionally and not physical. So not so much physical, it was more so emotionally, so feeling depressed and suffering with anxiety and so forth. And then the rest was a ship age made a significant part as well. So yeah, really important. So I think if we can identify that these are key areas that need improving, that it's something that that we should look at, and also offer better training for as well. And a little snapshot, so some takeaway parts is that this is actually something from TUV, one of our key drivers, but simplifying complexity. But this is something that we're seeing now across the board, across all industries, and something that's important in maritime. So offering digital safety solutions to make health and safety more engaging for people, giving them the right tools, because when they have the right tools, they're more likely to, because the hardest bit of getting into safety is picking up a risk assessment or picking up an inspection. So if you offer them the right tools and make it engaging for them, then people are more likely to get involved. So as I said, e-learning is on the increase, and flexible training solutions, so blended learning for seafarers. Universal standards. So across all boards, but really specifically in maritime as well, 45001 is really helping bring universal practices and procedures across the ports and across the boats and the seafarers as well, in line with the International Marine Organization as well. Embracing technology, so we're all talking about data, blockchain, systems, autonomous driving, and the other really key takeaway for me is really to focus on well-being. So to really have better health surveillance in place to monitor people's physical and mental well state, to make sure they have the right best practices in place for their well-being, and the monitoring of this as well. So yeah, so this is my presentation. Apologies, there's a lot of slides to get through, but I really wanted to give you a nice holistic view of different trends, things in training, some statistics, and as I said as well, I'd like to circulate this presentation. So I've got some really useful links for seafarers for new guidance on COVID and safety systems and controls that the management of ships can have in place to manage COVID. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave, for your presentation and sharing your expertise on the health and safety. I'm sure all the participants are now in the know on the importance of health and safety in the workplace. Thank you very much, Dave.
No worries.